Hey, come here, Geeks and Gamers, Ryan Cannell. They are changing the rules mid-game. They're literally moving the goalpost. They are losing this culture war so badly, they are having to change their own definition of what get broke, go woke means because they can't apply it to the modern successful properties that are coming out and they can't figure out what to do. So they're changing what it means. They should have never put this video clip out. We're about to debunk this. What's up, Bears? Eric here, and in today's video, we're gonna be looking at a clip from Geeks and Gamers, Ryan Cannell specifically, that they uploaded as a YouTube short. We're gonna watch the thing in its entirety, and then we're gonna run through and explain why they are massively wrong about everything they're saying.
Knowing your audience is a very important thing.
Okay.
We've heard a lot over the last couple of years the phrase get woke, go broke, pushed out there. A lot of people are using the success of Barbie to kind of be like, oh, I thought it was get woke, go broke. I think there's a big disconnect in people understanding what that means. If something in its origins is feminist in nature or has feminist messaging, and then you make a movie that has feminist messaging, that's pushing it to the audience that it's intended for. You're getting woke, so to say. That's always been the nature of that thing. When you take something that has, say, a predominantly male fan base or a little bit more conservative fan base, and you decide to push identity politics or all of this stuff into it, that is that franchise getting woke. And when you do that, it's not going to be a good thing. It's not going to have a good ending. Whether you're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Wars, NASCAR, Bud Light, these things that have a certain specific audience, and you are now inherently pushing things that audience rejects. That's rejecting woke, as opposed to kind of staying true to the messaging that's always been a part of that thing.
This video is telling in so many ways. They told on themselves so many times in this 1-minute video. I can't believe they uploaded this clip. I just remind you guys, this is Ryan Cannell from RK Outpost, who is on a short on the Geeks and Gamers page. So it's presumably from one of their live streams. So he's saying that Barbie isn't get woke, go broke. Well, that's a good thing because Barbie is massively successful. It's made over $1 billion. It's broke all kinds of records. So they shouldn't have a problem with Barbie being quote unquote woke because it's always been that way, right? Well, that's not true. At least not in the beginning. And what does woke mean in this context? Is it woke because the Barbie franchise started out as a toy line that featured women? Is it because the brand was empowering for women and gay people? Is it because it spoke to progress and diversity? Is that what made it inherently woke? He did say feminist, so I guess, yes, it was because there were women in it. I guess that makes Barbie woke, and it's been around since 1959. So since he doesn't really explain what woke means in this context, it was a short clip, they didn't have a lot of time, I'm going to assume he mentioned feminism and wokeness in relation to Barbie. So that opens up the door for the idea that marginalized communities or anyone that isn't a white man or a male character would be inherently woke by his standard. I know that's kind of a stretch, but we really don't have a lot to go on. So let's start from there. First, we'll tackle Barbie. I promise this will not take long. So that video clip from Geeks and Gamers seemed to insist that there was no issue with Barbie because Barbie was always woke, right? So there shouldn't be a problem with that. No complaining at all. Well, that's wrong. They've done several videos about how Barbie being woke is bad. Here's some examples right here. You can see one of them actually has Ryan Cannell in the thumbnail. They mentioned the fact that it's a feminist nightmare. They put woke on it. They show the down arrow because supposedly it was gonna go broke. Remember, get woke, go broke, something they just explained wasn't Barbie. But that's what they're showing in their thumbnail. This is their channel. This is them. They're the ones that shared that short. Barbie review, the movie got everything wrong. Barbie promotes a feminist agenda. So the idea that something being inherently woke and not also going broke seems to fall apart when you look at the channel and see the content they've been making. It seems like they're trying to sort of change the definition of what get woke, going broke means because they've been taking so many L's recently, specifically for Barbie, because they did not expect the movie to be as massively successful as it is. And they have very few things to attribute that success to other than the movie just being extremely popular, being extremely well received, and having really good word of mouth. That's really the only thing that can happen. So they're struggling to find a new definition for what get woke, go broke means. It's actually funny to me that Barbie is the movie that finally broke them to the point where they have to dismantle their own narrative and sort of restructure what they're saying and sort of fix that propaganda that they make on YouTube. They don't really have any convictions here because they bounced around from, you know, again, Barbie being woke and being not woke, being feminist or whatever. They're very, very inconsistent in their bigotry. Just stop believing these guys. Fair enough if you enjoy their misogyny misogyny, racism, homophobia, bigotry, but they aren't consistent critics. They are grifters selling you lies dressed up as opinions to get clicks on their videos, and you keep doing it. You keep lining their pockets for sitting around and just lying to you and reinforcing all of your bias. It's really kind of disgusting. You guys should break away from that. I mean, look, even Ryan himself has been all over the place on how he handles Barbie. So this isn't exclusive to just the Geeks and Gamers brand. It's pretty much anyone in this circle at this point. But Eric, maybe they're being genuine. Okay, let's assume for a minute they're being genuine. I don't think they are, but let's assume they are for a second. According to them, inherently woke things aren't bad, right? So their problem isn't with existing woke things. It's when things are changed by Hollywood to be more diverse, progressive, like that's when they have a problem with it, I guess. Now, his examples were quite interesting. Let's run through those quickly. Let's tackle the Marvel stuff first. He showed a clip from Endgame, so I'm guessing he was insinuating that Marvel, the MCU, in that regard, was an example of get woke, go broke. What kind of fucking example is that? Endgame made $2.8 billion. Literally not the example of get woke, go broke. Also, I don't know where he got the idea that conservative values sort of owned everything up to a certain point. That was kind of weird that he even went in that direction. That felt like a cope to me. Even so, let's take a look at some of his woke complaints about Marvel. I can't show them all here, but Ryan has made so many videos about Marvel or the MCU being woke over the years, pretty much fixating on a handful of characters, Captain Marvel being one of them. So let's take a dive into Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers has been a woman since her inception in the comics. She was never a man. She's always been a woman character. Not only has she been a woman since her inception, but she has been around since 1968, and she's been a superhero since the 70s. She has been Captain Marvel officially since 2012, meaning that by the time the movie came out, she had already been established as this character in comic book canon. So this is not an example of getting woke, and it's not an example of going broke because Captain Marvel made over $1 billion. Stay mad, haters. Also, he's been dunking on the Marvels, I'm assuming because he considers that to be woke as well. So let's take a look at the two other main characters in the Marvels. We have Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, who is an original character that was created back in 2013 and then was brought into the MCU from her comic book canon. So yet again, this is not an example of Hollywood getting woke, because she was already woke, I guess, according to your standard. Also, Monica Rambeau, Photon as she's known now, was Captain Marvel also all the way back in 1982. So 30 years before Carol Danvers ever had the title. So this shouldn't be a problem, right? Staying true to the source material, yet you're still complaining about how woke these characters are. So I think you guys get the point here. His issue isn't with things being changed, it's with things being diverse in general. So you don't care about them getting woke, you just care about them being diverse and put into movies and TV shows. So that entire video was sort of smoke and mirrors to try and hold up this facade that you guys have. And you said in that clip that knowing your audience is important. So I just gave you the examples of 3 characters in the upcoming Marvel's movie that caters to their audience. They are all characters that were established in the comics as who they are and then brought onto screen as who they are, meaning that they are catering to their audience. So why do you have a problem with it? You also mentioned something about conservative values in Indiana Jones. Where is the citation on that? You also said that was one of the representations of a franchise going woke. Again, changing that definition. Is it the franchise or the characters? What's the standard there? I'm not totally sure. However, the very first Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, had Indiana Jones fighting Nazis, which is something we saw in the most recent film, and the lead actress in that series was Karen Allen. So they have featured lead women in Indiana Jones before. So again, what is the standard of the current Indiana Jones of getting woke and going broke when the older movies, the very first one, followed the same blueprint as the more modern Indiana Jones? I mean, I feel like you guys are really painting yourself in a corner here. I've even got more stuff. We're not done yet. We're not done. Sit with me for another couple of minutes. You also mentioned the more modern Star Wars as an example of getting woke and going broke, which again is false. This franchise made, right over here, can we see it on the screen? I hope we can see it on the screen, $4.475 billion. The budget for all of those movies was $1.18 billion. The franchise, those three in that trilogy, made $4.475 billion. Still does not fit the example of get woke, go broke. This doesn't make any sense to use those as examples. And I'm still not done. You had a couple of other examples. You said NASCAR and Bud Light. Bud Light has been doing pride campaigns since the 90s, almost 30 years worth of pride marketing. Gay people drink, buy, and enjoy Bud Light. Conservatives do not own that brand. They never did. Bud Light, any of these companies, just want to sell their products to whoever wants to buy them. They are capitalistic companies. That is how they function. And the only reason they're suffering right now is because they did their shit that pissed off conservatives with the Dylan Mulvaney 30-second TikTok clip, which is super, ridiculous, honestly. But then after they got that backlash, they tried to pander back to the same bigoted conservatives and throwing queer people under the bus, throwing Dylan Mulvaney under the bus. So then queer people and progressive people started boycotting as well. So you can't even own the fact that Bud Light is suffering because that was not done strictly by conservatives. And lastly, NASCAR. When did they go broke? When did NASCAR go broke? I'm asking for a friend. I'm just wondering. It's one of your examples. Clearly, they have a lot of pride merchandise and pride campaign stuff associated with NASCAR. And there is almost zero chance that conservative people would ever fully boycott NASCAR. I'm just saying. The changing of this goalpost for you guys is a sign of the beginning of the end. The culture war that you guys have been stoking is running on fumes. This is desperation. Everything you are doing right now is in survival mode. Fighting over Snow White, the Little Mermaid, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you don't have a lot left to fight about. You are running out of steam. Pretty soon, I suspect you're just gonna have to be straight up honest with your bigotry and get even more extreme in the kind of stuff that you're doing. It's gonna get very much more political because you're gonna find out that this grift that you've been doing isn't going to sustain you. I can't wait till the fandom is done with you. You charlatans masquerading as comic book fans, selling your bigotry like it's panels and comic books, when in fact it's more like pamphlets from a local Klan meeting. Get fucked.